Right.
Epsilonism is not a cult.
Credits roll on another historic Vinewood movie studio.
The Ballsack in wild swings again as stocks drop.
Devin Weston, Los Santos' legendary billionaire investing guru, was celebrating along with Don Percival, CEO of a controversial private security business yesterday. Weston announced his fund had taken an 11% stake in Merryweather. Percival, meanwhile, was happy after defeating a government plan to outlaw the expansion of Merryweather's domestic operations. Expect more private privatized high-security firms to begin domestic operations as the war on terror continues to rage.
Gang crime is on the rise, and politicians are blaming lack of media coverage and sensationalism. The recent fall in the popularity of gang movies, focusing on both African American and Hispanic street gangs, has led to a rise in gang violence, experts warned yesterday, as people no longer had movies to warn them of the danger of making bad choices.
Movie mogul Solomon Richards and his struggling Richards Majestic Studios will be reeling today from the news that another historic movie studio, Lowenstein Pictures, has closed and will be turned into luxury condos. Will there soon be nothing left in America but reality TV and property that nobody can afford?
The funding war between IAA and FIB intensifies after Congress promised to slash spending, and both agencies recommend it's the other one.
Cult news.
Chris Formage and his fellow Epsilonists were celebrating yesterday after the Supreme Court of the state of San Andreas overturned the Revenue Service's claim that the Epsilon program was a cult and a pyramid scheme and not a real religion, and therefore should have its charitable status repealed. Mr. Formage, who is believed to have amassed a fortune of several $1 billion, wept on the steps of the courthouse.
I'm Carl Kelly. Markets were volatile as the Bossack Index went into free fall and then got hit hard before a late rally had everyone really confused. If you want to understand more, pick up my new book, Mounting Bulls and Riding Bears.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Breaking news.
A gang shootout in Puerto del Sol.
Excitement is building for Life Invaders' new product launch.
A breakthrough in the notorious Leonora Johnson case.
The Sonora Desert, a hotbed for illegal arms trafficking from south of the border.
Is the paparazzi going out of business? Some hope so.
A quiet cul-de-sac erupted in gang violence as a bloody massacre left several Vagos gang members dead. A trail of devastation and no clear idea what happened or why. Police don't know if this means drug wars between Hispanic gangs have reignited or if this was simply a deal or an altercation gone terribly wrong.
The smuggling of weapons from the U.S. into Mexico has transformed the Sonora Desert region into a war zone in recent months, with rival traffickers including Mexican gang Varios Los Aztecas and El Salvadoran gang the Marabunta Grande clashing over supply routes.
The launch of Life Invaders' top-secret but heavily marketed new hardware is just days away now, and the hype is at a fever pitch as social networking fanatics prove once again that there are no limits to what people are prepared to sacrifice in exchange for the illusion of relevance and popularity. Life Invaders CEO Jay Norris will unveil the product himself on live television.
Since 1975, the brutal murder and dismemberment of starlet Leonora Johnson has remained unsolved and captivated conspiracy theorists. Now, there may be a breakthrough. Ira Richards, Vice President of Marketing at Richards Majestic and grandson of movie mogul David Richards, told a reporter that his grandfather claimed to have destroyed a confession letter in the weeks before his death. Mr. Richards Sr. passed away last year at the age of 103. His son, Solomon Richards, has run the family studio since 1978 and told reporters he knew nothing beyond the fact his son was a moron and his father was delusional.
Idiotic news. The #1 industry in Los Santos after plastic surgery and therapy is crying foul. The local paparazzi union says that high-resolution camera phones are putting them out of business. Street photographer union rep Tyler Hughes.
Any jerk with a camera phone can make money invading the privacy of celebrities. It's really hurting our hard-working paparazzi who pride themselves on harassing celebrities to the brink of death.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Weasel News.
Car carnage in Pillbox Hill.
An upsurge in armed ATM robberies has locals concerned.
Devin Weston buys steak in Richards Majestic.
As I find street maps sharing pics of you on the toilet.
A car dealership in Pillbox Hill was destroyed when a joyrider smashed into the showroom. Premium Deluxe Motorsport has come under investigation for loan scams and high interest rate financing. The owner, Simeon Mutarian, assured police that this incident was purely an accident and not a disgruntled customer. One man witnessed the carnage.
It was crazy as hell. That dude must have been tweaked. I know I am. You got a washing machine I can take apart?
Following a spate of robberies at ATM machines across Los Santos, the LSPD has issued an official warning urging citizens to stay alert, afraid, and mistrustful of anybody who doesn't look like them.
Los Santos' prominent financial guru and investor Devin Weston made a typically unexpected move yesterday. Just as conventional wisdom is moving out of movies in general, and Vinewood Studios in particular, Mr. Weston bought a significant stake in storied but under-fire mini-major Richards Majestic. Head of production, Solomon Richards, son of legendary founder David Richards, welcomed Mr. Weston onto the board.
Technology news.
Web juggernaut iFind is sending cars with sophisticated cameras to take pictures of every street and house in America, including images of the inside of your home. CEO Trip Hammer says that having every home and its content searchable is the future.
This is the future.
Privacy rights advocates were booed by liberal activists who feel everything should be online, free, and searchable.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Weasel News.
High-speed gun battle on a Los Santos freeway.
Are the Chinese coming after our illegal drugs now too?
Epsilonism still growing and still popular within crowd.
The Transit Authority announces another project residents will ignore.
A 60s art house classic returns to cinemas.
Shock and terror on the Del Perro freeway earlier as two groups of men engaged in a high-speed gun battle over a luxury yacht. The Weasel News team was there just minutes too late, as usual, and spoke to this man.
I thought it was a joke or some prank until a bullet came through the window and tore through my artery. Now, if you don't mind, I need to go to the hospital.
It appears that China now wants to outsource our crime, too. At a press conference today, Globopol shared intel that high-profile members from a number of Chinese criminal organizations have entered the U.S. illegally in recent months with a view to infiltrate the North American drug market.
Despite recent controversies, including a court case and accusations of being a cult, more and more celebrities are choosing to become Epsilonists. The Epsilon program, the Los Santos-based religion that has been derided, attacked, ridiculed, and accused of everything from charlatanism and fraud to slavery and prostitution, continues to grow. At a promotional event at the Epsilon Center in Vinewood, a spokesman told us,
"This is an American religion and an American success story. Unlike most American businesses, we have it outsourced and we are expanding. We should be praised, not scorned."
Transit News.
The Los Santos Transit Authority announced funding for a prospective new streetcar project to the tune of $16 billion. Rails will run on many popular streets, shutting them down for years during construction, and promise to move traffic up to 3 miles per hour, much faster than current gridlocked conditions.
Capolavoro, the incomprehensible 60s classic that typified the European art house cinema craze, is showing again in local theaters as part of a retrospective of indecipherable and pretentious movies.
Well, I was thoroughly confused, but I felt better than other people towards the end.
The movie is showing again in local theaters for a limited time. Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Weasel News.
A house collapses in Vinewood Hills.
Vigilantes getting tough on illegal immigration.
The movies Meltdown and spy thriller Deep Inside are all going green screen and plan to rack up a lot of green.
What kind of person waits in line for a phone? We'll find out.
A Vinewood Hills stilt home designed by famous architect Teuton collapsed. Seismologists did not notice any unusual activity, and the house passed inspection just last year. Melinda Manchester is at the scene.
This homeowner is obviously distraught.
Leave me alone! I don't want to talk to biased American media!
We'll stay on this story.
A group of vigilantes calling themselves the Civil Border Patrol are attempting to combat illegal immigration in San Andreas' Alamos Sea region. Police and local commentators have both attempted to make the group stop its actions, but so far to no avail.
We've long known that actors are empty and vapid, and so are the high-tech rooms where most movies are made these days. Thanks to cheap overseas animation houses, the days of filming on location are coming to an end as CG takes over. Richards Majestic recently announced that 2 new films in production will be filmed almost entirely on green screen. Meltdown, a Vinewood retelling of the financial crisis set in Liberty City, and Deep Inside, a globe-trotting derivative spy thriller, are both being shot in Los Santos.
Phone News.
The new iFood phone won't be available for 3 months, but some users are lining up already. We stopped outside the iFood store and spoke with Sean Douglas,
Dreyfus, who says he can't wait.
This next phone's going to be the future. And finally show those losers with their drone phone who is the king.
Some commentators say that iFruit's glory days are behind it as cheap clones flood the market and people remember it's only a phone anyway. We'll stay on this story as we literally have no interest in covering the real ones happening at home and abroad.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Weasel News.
A drug deal goes very wrong.
Mexican gang Los Verdes Aztecas, now active in the Alamo Sea region of San Andreas.
A rally of sick patients to legalize medical cocaine turns violent.
Reclusive director Dreyfus back behind camera.
Something went very wrong as a drug deal at a recycling plant in La Puerta turned into a violent shootout, leaving several gang members dead and police confused as to what has caused this recent upsurge in extreme gang crime. The police have called the calm and responded by flying a lot of helicopters over poor neighborhoods all night long in a show of community spirit.
Rural areas outside Los Santos are reporting a dramatic increase in gang violence in areas once thought immune to the scourge of organized crime. Reports say Latino street gang Los Verdes Aztecas have been shifting operations to outside of the city, a trend that worries rural residents, many of whom are irrationally afraid of minorities anyway.
Proposition 208 is on the ballots and has many asking why this wonder drug was outlawed in the first place. Patients in wheelchairs and yuppies in sports cars crowded a park in Los Santos to rally for the passage of a measure to legalize medical cocaine. Many say that those suffering depression and low ego are helped by the drug. However, things got out of hand at the rally here today as arguments broke out about things that are really, really interesting, and fights broke out about the length of lines for the bathroom.
It was amazing. Everyone grinding their teeth, paranoid, really into themselves, just like this town. And then everyone started fighting.
Celebrity News.
Legendary recluse and Vinewood eccentric Peter Dreyfus is rumored to be doing the one thing he has studiously avoided for 30 years. He's about to direct another movie. Industry insiders are overjoyed at the news. Sheila Hall at the scene.
I've just spoken to a movie exec. He didn't want me to record him or use his name, but I promise you, he was here. Anyway, he told me he was really excited about the prospect of Dreyfus working again, only he couldn't remember any of his movies. Then he said actually liking old films was counterproductive in today's movie business. But he did love roller coasters and small plastic toys, and that was more important. Back to you in the studio.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Breaking news.
Jay Norris has head blown off on TV.
The Lost running amok in the desert.
Merriweather enters the Postal Service.
The stock market destroys some dreams again.
Jay Norris, Life Invader CEO and controversial champion of openness and data mining, had his data mined all over the stage when his head was blown off while giving a keynote speech to shareholders at the Vinewood Bowl. Mr. Norris was demonstrating the new Life Invader telephone when a bomb was triggered, killing him instantly. Police are unsure of the motives. Life Invader shares are down on the news.
Notorious outlaw motorcycle gang, The Lost, have taken up residence in the Alamo Sea and are now terrorizing the impoverished desert community. Steve Patoria is on the scene.
For years, the Lost Motorcycle Gang were involved in a non-stop war with the Angels of Death, raging across several states. Then came 2008's bloody Civil War that seemed to wipe them out. Now it appears they are back, and worse than ever. The gang is believed to be heavily involved in illegal arms dealing and the manufacture and distribution of crystal methamphetamine.
Sound effect.
The world's most exclusive courier service unveiled its U.S. operations yesterday. Merriweather announced their famed courier service is coming to these shores. The service transports art, artifacts, and other precious perishables for museums, collectors, and individuals trying to avoid taxes.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Weasel News. More on the Rockford Hills jewelry store robbery.
Fame or shame is back to put shame on entertainment.
MC Cliff proclaims himself a genius.
Mirror Park hipsters are invading the Alamo Sea.
The police have turned up 2 new leads in their investigation into the recent robbery of Evangelical Jewelers in Rockford Hills. They believe the crime was tied to an attack on a Humane Labs and research shipment carrying BZ gas. Police also believe the van used by the members was recently stolen from a Bug Star pest control warehouse in South Los Santos. We will stay with this story.
Fame or Shame kicks off a new season that they are promising will be the biggest thing in TV this month. San Andreas auditions are being held at the Maze Bank Arena, and the national finals will be at the Vinewood Bowl. This season is once again hosted by Laszlo, despite viewer complaints about his behavior in last season's finale.
Celebrity news.
MC Clip announces, "I've become a genius again."
I'm an influential genius, man. Smarter than Einstein. Shit, I could cure diseases if I were to get a microscope. But instead, I'm rhyming about hoes. And you love it.
Rap music's self-proclaimed new frontier, MC Clip, announced that his forthcoming album would help put rap music at the top of the global agenda. Combining a new sound and a new message, Clip spoke to reporters.
This time, it's genetically inevitable that I've proved something real important. Combining fashion, rap music, and product pimping. I'm gonna take humanity to new places.
He said that the album, The All-New Messiah, promises to save pop music.
You know me, I'm like the rapper guy would want to be if he could rhyme right.
Upscale Vinewood types and hipsters are turning into weekend warriors, invading the rural wasteland of the Alamo Sea in search of the soul of America. In most cases, they fail to find it and do drugs instead, which are reportedly readily available in bulk at knockdown prices. Local law enforcement expressed concern while sitting in the car and playing solitaire on a smartphone instead.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Weasel News.
Still no leads in the Rockford Hills jewelry store robbery.
Fame or Shame is back to put shame on entertainment.
MC Clip proclaims himself a genius.
Mirror Park hipsters are invading the Alamo Sea.
Investigating officers have uncovered a new lead into the daytime robbery at exclusive Rockford Hills jewelry store Vangelico. It is thought that the guns used in the raid on the store were the same carbine rifles stolen from the LSPD SWAT van earlier this week. We'll stay with the story.
Fame or Shame kicks off a new season that they are promising will be the biggest thing in TV this month. San Andreas auditions are being held at the Maze Bank Arena, and the national finals will be at the Vinewood Bowl. This season is once again hosted by Laszlo, despite viewer complaints about his behavior in last season's finale.
Celebrity news.
MC Clip announces, "I've become a genius again."
I'm an influential genius, man. Smarter than Einstein. Shit, I could cure diseases if I were to get a microscope. But instead, I'm rhyming about hoes. And you love it.
Rap music's self-proclaimed new frontier, MC Clip, announced that his forthcoming album would help put rap music at the top of the global agenda. Combining a new sound and a new message, Clip spoke to reporters.
This time, it's genetically inevitable that I've proved something real important. Combining fashion, rap music, and product pimping. I'm gonna take humanity to new places.
He said that the album, The All-New Messiah, promises to save pop music.
You know me, I'm like the rapper guy would want to be if he could rhyme right.
Upscale Vinewood types and hipsters are turning into weekend warriors, invading the rural wasteland of the Alamo Sea in search of the soul of America. In most cases, they fail to find it and do drugs instead, which are reportedly readily available in bulk at knockdown prices. Local law enforcement expressed concern while sitting in the car and playing solitaire on a smartphone instead.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Weasel News.
A deadly shootout at a local airport in Blaine County.
Percival says Merriweather not in port of LS.
Several hitchhikers had gone missing in Blaine County. Police confused.
Neighborhoods are telling farmers markets enough is enough.
Sandy Shores Airfield up in rural Blaine County resembled a war zone as the ongoing drug war escalated in another bloody incident. Gangs battled to the death in a pattern of destruction that has become all too common in the area. Witnesses spoke of one particularly crazy lunatic who police are trying to identify as they believe he may be behind several of the recent acts of violence.
Merriweather Security yesterday released a statement trashing reports that they were already providing security support for the Port of Los Santos. The company has been lobbying recently for greater access to government contracts, but say so far none have been forthcoming.
Police say they're confused by the recent disappearance of several hikers in the hills of western Blaine County. A local sheriff's deputy spoke with us.
We are really confused.
Idiotic Liberals News.
Farmers markets are popular in the Los Santos metro area, but some residents are saying enough.
They are the most egotistical, uppity people on Earth with their hemp clothing and always talking about kale, colonics. Stay out of our neighborhood!
A recent study found that many stalls at farmers markets simply buy factory farm vegetables and meat from a local supermarket and then resell it at the farmers market to rich liberals who are mostly gullible morons.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Breaking news.
Bloody shootout at a meth lab in Sandy Shores.
Facade hit with a data mining scandal.
Wealthy residents are protesting the planned extension of the metro.
The erection pill wars rage on.
In hillbilly news, more violence at the Alamo Sea, where local drug dealers clashed with Chicano gang the Aztecas at the Ace Liquor Store in Sandy Shores, which is an alleged front for a methamphetamine manufacturing operation. Our reporter spoke to this man at the scene.
It was terrifying. I was really scared that it would affect the street price of crystal. I love smoking crystal.
Could Facade's monopoly of the global operating system market be under threat? Jackson Skinner, head of product development at Facade, is at the center of a data mining scandal today, following accusations the software company sold sensitive customer information to various governments and illegal organizations around the world.
The plan to extend the Los Santos Metro to other areas of the city has some wealthy residents crying foul. Carl Kelly is on the scene.
I'm here at City Hall, talking to an unhappy rich person.
It's a safety issue. They want to tunnel under things like schools, underground. We're not opposing it because of some race thing. That's absurd.
But it is a race thing, isn't it?
Well, yeah, okay.
The Transit Authority plans to move forward with the extension anyway, despite opposition from conservatives and oil companies who say it's a waste of taxpayer dollars.
Penis pill news.
Has Mollis been stiffed by the competition? A controversial new drug is trying to loosen Beta Pharmaceuticals' tight hand on the erectile dysfunction market. Bilkington Research's Priapol claims to be stronger, cheaper, and better for clubbing than Mollis, despite some reports of alarming side effects.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Weasel News.
Drug wars escalate in Alamo Sea.
The race for governor heats up to a boil.
Loneliest robot in Great Britain wins big at the box office.
Actor Gordon Henderson is suing the Star Tourist Bus Company, but not for what you think.
The war on drugs.
Massacres in Blaine County as police are requesting increased resources from the state to deal with drug-related violence. The highly lucrative crystal methamphetamine trade is believed to be tied to several gang cartels. Some local politicians are calling for increased firepower and have requested either military or paramilitary support.
They're both spending millions of dollars on attack ads, vigorously shaking hands with random strangers, and lying through their teeth. Yes, the gubernatorial race is in full swing, with former Vinewood stuntman John Cranley going up against ex-school teacher and rich divorcee Sue Murray. Residents are torn on who to vote for.
I like John Cranley. I think he'll throttle the deficit like he used to throttle bad guys. Plus, he's had a lot of drugs and three-ways in his past, so it's out of his system.
Sentimental tearjerker The Loneliest Robot in Great Britain is once again the top film in America, with moviegoers loving its whimsical charm and homespun tale of good overcoming adversity via ultra-violence, despite some parents voicing concern that some of the material was too extreme for children. Also, in entertainment news, protesters outside Weasel are upset that the once family-friendly show Republican Space Rangers is no longer a wholesome tale about American military killing foreigners, but in an effort to widen its appeal, now includes gay storylines.
A lawsuit has been filed in Los Santos Superior Court today by actor Gordon Henderson against Vinewood Star Tours, not for invading his privacy, for dropping his house off the map.
He's not that big of a star, and he would always pretend to be getting the mail or doing something outside and then wave at the bus. His ego was slowing down the tour.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Breaking news.
Drug wars at the Alamo Sea continue to worsen.
Still no breakthrough in the Leonora Johnson case. Amateur sleuths continue their search.
A local policeman has turned artist, and some of his subjects are upset.
A series of explosions destroyed a trailer park in the Alamo Sea, leaving dozens dead in what appears were part of a deliberate attack. Stab City, as the area was unfortunately called by locals, was a local biker gang hangout.
Missing person
host of the show, who was chased from the scene. A call to Laszlo's agent was not returned.
Los Santos has everything you could want. A thriving drug scene, parties every night, and celebrities in various stages of diluted meltdown. But it's a national embarrassment to not have a football team. I spoke to one disgruntled fan.
It's embarrassing. Worthless cities nobody visits have pro football teams, and we don't. They should give us one of them. I miss the energy and domestic violence of a Pounders game.
Officials say that the city is one step closer to getting a team, as it is planning to give hundreds of millions of dollars in taxpayer money to billionaires and give them a free stadium.
That was Weasel News. Weasel News. Not a break-in. We were just practicing, say, the IAA.
Global poll helping to crack down on West Coast drug trafficking.
More on the tragic storm in Liberty City that has the nation caring again.
My UFO crashed, claims hiker.
Eyewitnesses thought they'd seen the crime of the century. Instead, it turned out they were watching a training exercise at the IAA headquarters building in Los Santos. It seemed like a daring raid in which a suspect was snatched by a man dangling from a helicopter. But no, officials were quick to counter these rumors.
Global poll has gone on a media blitz in the last 24 hours to promote their tough new crackdown on U.S. drug trafficking in the extra hope that more people will discover who the hell they are. In a recent poll asking U.S. citizens what Global poll does, only 2 out of 10 people correctly identified the International Police Force, with the other responses ranging from antidepressant medication to cartoon characters.
Liberty City storm news. A storm that ravaged Liberty City has some corporate citizens stepping up to the plate, including the gas and electric monopolies.
Getting America back on its feet is important to us. Since we are a state-approved monopoly with zero interest in investing in infrastructure, we want to get the grid up and running so we can be printing money again.
Globe Oil and other petroleum companies have started a fund for victims called Warming Hearts, not Warming Oceans, which fights the myth of climate change and helps citizens replace cars that were flooded in the storm.
Jonah Henderson's hiking and meth holiday did not quite go according to plan. He was abducted by aliens, but that's not all. Having been abducted by aliens, he survived a terrifying UFO crash as the flying saucer exploded, leaving debris all over the state. Believe that, and you'll reason we, or at least you, are not alone, as many like-minded people have flocked to the Grand Sonora Desert and are hunting for UFO parts. Yet again, proof the great American imagination is alive and well. Tomorrow, we have an exclusive interview with the Tooth Fairy.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. This is Weasel News.
Philanthropist murdered at a house party in Chumash.
Chad and Shanice Mulligan getting divorced.
A super club is coming to East Los Santos.
Partygoers at a house in Chumash were horrified when a guest was killed seemingly by a sniper's bullet. Tahir Javan was smoking on an outside terrace when he was gunned down. Police are baffled as to why this much-loved Azerbaijani American, who was a noted philanthropist and community leader, would be targeted.
Celebrity News.
Despite weeks of marriage counseling, Shanice Mulligan has been unable to forgive her husband Chad after he was caught with his finger in the cookie jar. Or is that a starlet? Now, with divorce lawyers licking their lips, Mulligan's famous collection of rare cars, wines, and boats, along with his many homes, will come under threat.
A Vinewood agent and promoter, Rocco Pelosi, is bringing life to a desolate corner in East Los Santos. Work has begun on converting an unused warehouse into a massive multi-story nightclub that will play EDM music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm ready to take some Molly.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Breaking news.
Carnage as a rapper's photo shoot is overrun by gangsters fleeing a shootout.
Group sex armored car robbery connected to
chef Michael Lee Roon, who recently shot to fame on several celebrity cooking shows. He claims to toil for hours over each salad using locally sourced wild mosses and organically unsustainable fish flown an obscene distance.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Breaking news.
Carnage as MC Clip is killed in a gang shootout.
Group Sachs armored car robbery connected to IAA.
Another hiker goes missing in the Chiliad Mountain State Wilderness. Police are befuddled.
And the most expensive salad in the world comes to a Los Santos high-end restaurant.
The outbreak of violence continues. An MC Clip photo shoot in the Los Santos River turned into tragedy as a shootout between rival gangs overran it. MC Clip, real name Curtis Cray, turned his back on the gangster life 3 years ago to embrace narcissistic consumption. Unfortunately, it was too late. Mr. Clip is dead.
I'm here talking to a distraught MC Clip fan.
It's so sad to see a mouthy egomaniac die like that.
Back to you in the studio.
Missing persons.
Another hiker has disappeared without a trace, according to police. The unnamed 22-year-old man was walking alone from Polito Cove to Raton Canyon. They left home last Sunday and haven't been heard or seen since. Police don't have any leads, so are asking for increased pension benefits.
This salad cost $10,000, and it was worth every penny.
That's what one well-heeled diner said after finishing the most expensive salad in the city. A gourmet entree invented by celebrity chef Michael Lee Roon, who recently shot to fame on several celebrity cooking shows. He claims to toil for hours over each salad, using locally sourced wild mosses and organically unsustainable fish flown an obscene distance.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Weasel News.
Group Sachs armored car robbery connected to IAA.
A drone base may be coming to the area. Liberals are outraged.
Frank Mathers has drowned off the coast.
A Vespucci beach man is claiming he's the victim of discrimination.
In a rare public statement, IAA spokesperson Lucinda Jacob confirmed a connection between her agency and the robbery of a Group Sachs armored car in Cypress Flats. She told us she could confirm the car was carrying high-value government bonds, but was unable to tell how much, where they were going, or any success in solving the crime.
Idiotic Liberals News.
The United States military admitted they are considering the construction of a new drone base just north of Chumash and Fort Zancudo. Citizens expressed outrage.
I'm expressing outrage. See? I'm holding a sign.
Many say that the drone program erodes our civil liberties. They'd much rather send hillbillies to their death overseas than be protected cheaply by a robot. Others say, sleep tight, America. Tune into some reality TV and ignore everything going on around you. Babylon is burning, they shriek, and then take a huge hit on a spliff and proceed to do nothing about it.
TV producer, self-publicist, and environmentalist Frank Mathers has drowned in a submarine accident. Mr. Mathers, who was obsessed by undersea exploration, was testing a new submarine in the ocean near Polito Bay when the submarine sank and is believed to have broken apart. Mr. Mathers claimed to have great affinity with the ocean. He is survived by his wife, Abigail.
Travel to Vespucci Beach and everyone has a tattoo and multiple holes in their extremities. Resident Tim Shepard filed a lawsuit against the city, saying he was told to leave for not having ink.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. This is Weasel News. The San Andreas Lotto is up to $500 million.
Tattoo artist breaks world record for worst tattoo.
Idiotic News. Derek Berinsky is standing in line to buy lottery tickets in a vain attempt to win the $500 million jackpot. Millions of residents are buying lottery tickets in the infinitely small hope that they can end a life of banal suffering. Despite the overwhelming evidence that millionaires are unhappy, many residents can't wait to wallow in that misery for themselves.
95% of San Andreans under the age of 45 now have a tattoo. But most are ignorant egomaniacs with no real sense of who they are. One Los Santos tattoo artist has broken the world record for worst tattoo, claiming to have inked over 500 tribal bands, tramp stamps, treasure maps, human centipede diagrams, and barbed wire biceps.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. This is Weasel News. Container ship sinks in the port of South Los Santos.
FIB claim money laundering rife in small banks across the country. Nonsense, says mayor.
A court says a former movie star must remain on the Star Tours bus route.
A growing scourge is hitting the city, and residents aren't happy. Are bicyclists taking over? Witnesses describe a scene of chaos in Los Santos Harbor earlier, as several explosions could be seen on board a container ship, which subsequently sunk into the harbor. Reports suggest nothing was stolen and foul play is not suspected in the incident.
Blaine County was one of 3 regions nationwide singled out as a potential target for money laundering, as drug dealers focus on small regional banks with weaker systems of control. Accused the Bureau of typical discrimination against successful rural businesses. Celebrity news.
The Los Santos Superior Court has awarded damages to actor Gordon Henderson, who recently sued when Vinewood Star Tours bus company dropped him from their route. The court said that aging and irrelevant Vinewood stars depend on the interest from fans in order to survive, and that actors have been known to commit suicide when not the center of attention at all times. The Star Tours bus company has promised to appeal.
Several groups are petitioning the city and law enforcement to do something about bicycles.
They take up the road. I nearly get into a collision going around them, and they dress like sissies.
90% of the people that ride bikes are assholes, according to a study by the Bravado Independent Research Group. The city promised to look into the closing of bike lanes and indicated they won't be adopting any of the bike share programs that have plagued other metropolitan areas. Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Weasel News. A record producer carjacked in Los Santos.
5 died thanks to dodgy smack and orgy.
A man camping in line for 3 months for a phone is in critical condition.
Adventure funerals are the hot new way to die. We have more from a local funeral home.
Los Santos record producer Chad Mulligan narrowly escaped with his life when his $3 million Z-Type was stolen in a violent carjacking. The whereabouts of the rare vintage car, one of only 10 still in existence, and the identity of the assailant are unknown.
Police responding to neighbors' complaints found 5 rotting corpses in a condo in Paleto Bay up in Blaine County. The 4 men and 1 woman were apparently involved in a sex and drugs orgy that went badly wrong. The woman, Ashley Butler from Alderney, and 4 local men ranging in ages from 53 to 85 all had histories of drug and legal problems.
Dramatic stinger. Workers at an iFruit phone store in Liberty City say they are worried about superfan Sean Douglas. He has been in line for weeks awaiting the release of the new phone. Douglas has promised to stay in line regardless of illness, acts of God, or natural disasters.
Local Los Santos funeral homes are getting in on the latest craze, adventure funerals. Why be in a casket during the viewing when your body can be embalmed and posed on a motorcycle or in a sea kayak the alligator pulled you out of, and mourners can see you doing the thing you loved that also brought your untimely demise? Funeral director Frank Fernworthy says many families love the new service.
Yeah, man, no. What I'm trying to tell you, man, is families like seeing their loved one's body posed mountain climbing, competitive eating, or swinging, whatever killed them that they love so much.
Weasel News, confirming your prejudices. Weasel News. A record producer killed in violent carjacking.
5 died thanks to dodgy smack and orgy.
A man camping in line for 3 months for a phone is in critical condition.
Adventure funerals are the hot new way to die. We have more from a local funeral home.
Los Santos record producer Chad Mulligan was killed, and his $3 million Z-Type was stolen in a violent carjacking in a Los Santos parking garage. The whereabouts of the rare vintage car, one of only 10 still in existence, and the identity of the killer are still unknown.
Police responding to neighbors' complaints found 5 rotting corpses in a condo in Paleto Bay up in Blaine County. The 4 men and 1 woman were apparently involved in a sex and drugs orgy that went badly wrong. The woman, Ashley